Well, the initial reactions that I'll share is that for going on 3 years now, the One Bermuda Alliance has refused to diversify our economy, shows a lack of vision for the future of this country, and now the people of this country are going to be made to pay for their lack of action on the economic diversification and economic growth with increased taxes, which will cause more pain for the Bermudian public. We agree with the Minister of Finance that the budget has to be balanced, but the lack of attention to growth of our economy, the lack of investment that has been given to tourism, and the ineffective use of dollars which has been given to the Bermuda Tourism Authority, which has resulted in the lowest air arrivals in 49 years, and employment falling again this year for the, I want to now say, 7th year in a row, is a challenge for the people of this country to face. Next year, the Progressive Labour Party will present an alternative vision for this country. As we saw in the by-election that happened in constituency number 13, the people of this country have grown tired of the One Bermuda Alliance, and they deserve an alternative vision that they can believe in, that they can understand will provide the security and will provide pathways to Bermudian success, which the Bermudians of this country greatly need and deserve.
As you indicated, the debt reduction is something that you feel would have supported, given that there's been no real increase in revenue, and the government continues to attempt to reduce that debt. What option did they have but to expense?
When you say no decrease in expenditure, you mean? You said no decrease in expenditure, because you said no increase in revenue. Can you ask your question again?
With the fact that government has had no real increases in revenue, great increase in revenue, and they have to continue to attempt to reduce the debt, what option would they have had as apart from increasing taxes?
It's very simple, Gary. If you have economic diversification and economic growth, you increase your revenue. I do not agree when you say there was no increase in revenue, because please remember, the One Bermuda Alliance raised taxes last year as well. This is the second consecutive year of increasing in taxes. This is the third consecutive year that we've seen a budget that pays absolutely no attention to economic diversification. My apologies. The fourth consecutive year that we've seen a budget that pays no attention to economic diversification. The challenge that we have in this country, it is not more people that we need, it is more jobs for people to fill. And there is a lack of jobs and a continued decrease of jobs, and it seems as though if the One Bermuda Alliance does not get it. We need a plan for economic diversification. We need a plan for economic growth. And next week, the Progressive Labour Party will offer that plan to the people of this country. So when the people of this country go to the polls, they can have confidence that at least their government will pay attention to their needs and the urgent need to diversify and to grow our economy.
I spoke to a businessman this morning who indicated to me that he woke up expecting to hear a budget and not to have to go out of business before the end of the day. Whether that we might be hearing more of that.
There will certainly be businesses that will go out of business due to this budget. That is without question. The fact of the matter is, when you increase the tax burden on taxpayers, that is what happens, and that is a challenge. And we see increased taxes across the board. The fact is that while the minister would like to increase taxes, he's also going to go ahead with his unwise scheme at the airport, which he's now going back on promises of which he's made to the electorate. He told the unions of this country that he would not guarantee a private funds revenue, and he's done exactly that. We've seen a minister of finance that has made mistakes in the past, that has refused to own up to the mistakes of which he's made in the past, and today the people of this country are having to pay for those errors.
One final question. The minister has also spoken about introducing a progressive tax system. How do you feel about that?
Well, see, and what I will say is, Gary, is that in 2013, in our reply to the throne speech, we called for a review of the tax system. And if the minister would have taken us up on our offer at that time, we would not be here right now, 3 or 4 years later, looking at the exact same changes. When that suggestion was made, he said, now is not the time. When an economy is in trouble, is not the time to look at taxes. Well, our economy lost jobs last year. Our economy is still not producing the type of growth that is going to provide employment to our people. So if we would have followed our advice then we would be in a better place now. There are lots of things that we have told the Minister of Finance that he should do, that we've said in consecutive budget replies, that now all of a sudden he's turned around and decided that, oh, maybe we should have listened to the Progressive Labour Party 3 years ago and followed some of their plans. So in a small measure, it's vindication of what we have been saying for 3 years that the Minister of Finance should do. But it is too late for the people of this country, and right now the people of this country are being made to pay for the Minister of Finance's short-sightedness and his mistakes. The increase in tax will affect the Bermudan public in the ways of which we're going to see some businesses that will go out of business because they cannot afford the tax burden. We're going to see increased strain on top of families. All families will now be taking home less money. In an environment where the cost of living is increasing, we've also seen the minister increase the price of gasoline in the country. These are things that are adversely affecting the people of this country. With the lack of attention paid to economic diversification, with the continued loss of jobs that the Minister of Finance has presided over, the people are being made to pay for his poor management of the economy and his lack of attention to economic growth and economic diversification. I will remind the media, in our first budget presentation in 2013, we stated that the minister needed to pay urgent attention to economic growth and economic diversification. He did not mention economic diversification once in his speech today. That is an indictment on his term in office and the One Bermuda Alliance's term in office. What we have said in the past is that we support the broadening of the tax base, and we will look at that. We are not going to attack that proposal because the fact is that we have called in the past that services and a broadening of the tax base needs to happen. So we're going to examine that. The one thing that I would remind the media is that we called for a review of the tax system in 2013. When the minister is talking about these new taxes, he said at the earliest they would go into place next year. It is likely that it will take longer for them to be put into place. The fact is that the minister's past mistakes of not listening to reason, as not trying to make sure we focus on economic growth, economic diversification, and the modernization and reform of our tax system today has seen the people of this country with an increased tax burden that they can ill afford at a time when the economy is still shedding jobs.